Welcome back to the Course Creation Mama podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Bowden, and I have a very special guest today, the most special guest I have ever had on the podcast, and that is my husband, Parker. So
Hi.
Welcome, Parker. Thank you for being here. We wanted to do a joint episode about kind of family and business and life and how we are living this life, what is going on with us. And I asked my email list and on Instagram what questions people had for us. And so we're just going to kind of quickly go through these and answer as many as we can and as quickly as we can because we like to keep these episodes short. So let's just go ahead and dive in. Just a quick background. So if you don't know, we both work from home. I left the classroom in 2019. I was a teacher. Parker left his corporate accounting job in December of 2022. And that was because of the money that I was bringing in from my online business. So very cool that he was able to do that. And then he's kind of been a stay-at-home dad for the past couple of years, but he's actually this year starting to dive into his own business, which we will talk about. So let me get into the questions and then we'll get to that as they come. So how long did it take to leave the classroom? So I actually left when I found out I was pregnant in 2019. I found out in January, I think, of 2019, and I finished out that year and then didn't go back. Our goal was for me to just stay home for 1 year, and we had enough in savings. Parker was making enough at his job for us to do that. But as soon as I had my baby girl, I said I will never go back. I will do whatever it takes to not go back. And so that's when I really decided to learn everything I could about online biz. And in 2020, the summer of 2020, that's when I had my first big launch of almost 50K. And that's when I really said, okay, this is doable. I don't have to go back. Mm-hmm. And that's when he kind of got on board with it too.
It was eye-opening.
Yes. Because, if you say you can make almost 50K from just some videos that you created, It doesn't seem totally real until it happens. How long until your husband could retire? So he retired in December of 2022, so that was 2.5 years. It took some convincing for him because well, you can talk about that a little bit.
I'm an accountant, so I'm naturally risk averse, and so that was scary for me to drop to one income stream, and just seeing her success and yes, she's put in a lot of hard work, but at the same time, it was, a lot of it is sitting at the computer and recording herself explaining things, and so that's just opened my mind and been a major mindset shift to how I see the economy and how we transact with the world.
Online business is where it's at. It's the future.
Yeah.
Especially digital products, knowledge-based businesses are great. Okay, how long until you saw enough profit for you to leave the classroom? So we kind of already answered this, but I left in 2019. I had opened my course, but I've talked about this before on the podcast. I did not launch it. I didn't know what I was doing. Made a couple $1,000. I was making some money from Teachers Pay Teachers as well, but it wasn't until the summer of 2020, after I had really taken the time to learn everything, that I had my first big launch. I made in that launch almost what I was making for a year as a teacher, and that's when I realized I'm not going back. What were the signs your husband was ready to quit his job, and how did you prepare for that big change?
I was burnt out.
Yeah.
Accounting is a great profession, but with it comes a pretty workaholic culture. I had great bosses. I had great teams. I love my teams, and I know that it's a lot worse for other accountants out there, but even still, with all the great support around me, I was just burnt out. And so I was probably ready to quit before she even started this.
Yeah, for sure.
Like about the time we got married, I was getting burnt out, and I kind of hopped around a few jobs, and then seeing her success, I was like, well, we can do this.
Yeah, and it did take some convincing for me because I could see how unhappy he was. I wanted him to be home, and even though we had gone through COVID and he was working from home a lot, we had, a new baby. It still seemed like, you just had to work all the time, and
work from home was almost worse for me because
he saw us playing and he saw us, doing whatever, having our own schedule, and then he had to be stuck in his office in the basement.
Yeah, and there was I think a lot of people dealt with the loss of, work life because work is at home. And so now, you're expected to answer emails almost all hours of the night now. Whereas before, when I was going into an office, it was after 5, nobody's going to answer an email.
Right.
That was kind of understood. But once everybody started working from home, everybody started working till midnight and sending emails, and kind of, it wasn't an expectation, but it wasn't out of the norm to send an email at midnight. And so that kind of crept into all aspects of life.
Yeah. Which is not cool.
No.
And then preparing for the change, I will say it was not like a super smooth transition. It took a while for us to figure out our new roles because we really needed Parker then to step into the stay-at-home dad role. And I then had more pressure on myself to make sure that, I am earning enough so that he could continue to stay home and I could continue to stay home. And so it was a big change, a big transition. And I feel like for maybe a full year or 2, we struggled a lot with that, with our new roles, with how do we navigate that as a family. And we'll talk about this in a second, but we're kind of switching back roles now, where now he's wanting to start, his business, and now that we have another baby, I want to step back into more of the mom role. So it's just constantly changing, but we're always trying to make sure that we're doing what's best for the whole family, for both of us.
Yeah. I think, the transition for dads considering this, it was great. I loved the extra time with our daughter, and growing with her and spending time with her that I wouldn't have otherwise, especially later, because we started going back to the office in June, and most people were still work from home in 2020. So coming home and becoming a stay-at-home dad was great. It was great for our relationship. Regrettably, I didn't learn the level of patience I needed as quickly as I needed to. That's a big transition for dads, I think. I think it's easy to come home from work and be the disciplinarian, and that's just your role. But when you're there all day and you're trying to train a terrible 2 or a three-nager, yeah, it's a big mindset shift, and regrettably, I didn't step into that role as fast as I should have.
It's hard.
I'm a better dad now for it, because
for sure.
I had that trial by fire. It wasn't just on nights and weekends when I was having to deal and help. And so I feel like now with our son, I'm going to be more patient with him. And I think that was God. God did all of this for our family to help me be a better dad, help her be a better mom, because we had to learn and grow through all of it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, how do you deal with feeling like you have to do it all the family stuff before you work on your course? So it was a little different for us. Well, okay, I guess in the beginning, Parker was still working full time. Even though he was working at home, I still did a lot of the housework. But Parker has always been really great about helping me. Even if he doesn't necessarily see things that I see, I think that's just a woman thing, a female thing. Like, we always see the messes, the moms. But if I say, hey, babe, I need help with the laundry, or can you do this or that? He's always been very, very helpful with that kind of thing. So having a partner that's on board and splits the housework evenly is super helpful. But I will say, if you're in the beginning, it may just help you to let some of the stuff go that you don't need to worry about all the time. Like, if laundry is piling up, maybe just take 2 hours one time a week and get it all done. Or the dishes, I always try to do those at night and have the kitchen set so in the morning, and this is after the kids go to bed. I don't work at night because my brain shuts off at 4. So after the kids go to bed, we try to clean up the kitchen so that in the morning I don't have to do that. So just kind of making a routine that helps you be able to fit in work where you can.
One thing you do kind of naturally is time block, and I've been learning from you and learning from others, and so I'm incorporating that more into my schedule now, because it is hard. It's not going from a 9 to 5 where you're sitting at your desk, you're expected to work these hours and be on call these hours. You don't really have to time block as much. It's kind of set for you. But when you come home and the kids are running around, or the dishes need doing, or it's my night to cook, I have to like set my time blocks and respect those times. And so when I say I'm going to work 9 to noon, then I do that, and then at noon I shut it off. And if I don't get everything done, then maybe I pick it back up after everybody goes to bed. But yeah, time blocking is huge, and a force multiplier, really.
Yeah, and this one kind of speaks to the same thing. How does your husband feel about the time you spend away from the family doing things for your business, especially in the early days before you were making good money? Parker has always been really supportive of me with my business. I will say in the beginning, he didn't know for sure that I was going to be able to like quit the classroom for good. It took him some convincing with that. And the only reason I say that is if your spouse isn't immediately like, yes, you can go all in and quit your job, and it's okay to give them some grace in that. Because it doesn't seem like, it seems too good to be true, even though it's not. It's totally possible. But he has always been super supportive of me working on my business, and I did try to fit it in around being a mom. I didn't always do it perfectly. I do have some regrets of kind of hustling too much in the beginning when my daughter was a baby, but also I feel like I had to hustle a little bit to really get this off the ground. And now I have a lot more time to be a mom. So, and I feel like all these questions are kind of the same, but how do you work from home with kids and fit everything in? Right now I have a newborn. Well, he's 3 months old, still a newborn to me. And I work while he's napping.
He's napping right now?
Yeah. And when he's up, I try to be present with him. So at this stage of my life, I can't work full 8 hours. I never really worked full 8 hours for my business. I try to fit it in 2 to 3 hours a day. But now I'm just kind of chunking it in when I can. And then the next question, how do you find time to do life, as I can't seem to get on schedule with my 3-month-old? So right there with you, I have a 3-month-old. Try to get them on a good nap schedule. If you haven't ever Googled wake windows, I was struggling in the beginning, the first 6 or 7 weeks, because newborns don't really nap for very long. But now I time his wake windows for an hour and 15 minutes. After he's been awake for that long, I can usually rock him and nurse him to sleep. And when I do that, he sleeps a lot better, and he sleeps through the night. Or he's just now started that, but maybe 1 to 2 wakes per night.
Yeah, routine is key.
Routine, yeah. Okay, next question. Would love to hear how y'all work together and do household chores. Okay, this is kind of the same thing. And still keep the love in the relationship, not roommates. For those just listening, Parker just gave me a hug. It just depends on your stage of life. We have a newborn and a 4-year-old, so it's not just going to be like lovey-dovey date nights all the time. But, when we're doing the chores together at night, or when we shut down the kitchen at night, that's kind of like our time together. And we just take the time when we can take it.
And that some of this goes into marriage advice. Marriage is hard. And it takes work.
And we're not marriage experts, by the way, but we will definitely tell you what's working for us.
God plays a big role.
Yes.
And we have a big support group around us. We have church friends, we have family. And so lean on your people. And if you don't have people, build some relationships. That's also key is having a network of people that can help you when you get stretched too thin. Then you can say, hey, I gotta tag somebody in here.
We have my parents that help out a lot. That really helps with watching my daughter and my son. So we're definitely not the experts on marriage or anything, but that's what's working for us right now is take the time when you can take it, and lots of prayer, lots of God. How do you divide up tasks and working from home together? And then this person was specifically asking about working on the business together. So Parker and I originally, when he quit his job, the plan was for him to kind of step on board with my business. We kind of figured out that it wasn't really his thing to be on video, to be doing any educating. He is shy right now. This was a struggle for me to get him on here. He's an accountant, so he does do my bookkeeping for me, and he helps me with the financial decisions. But that we're kind of making a shift now from it just being me as the kind of the face and the voice of the business, and he just kind of does some background stuff, and now he's branching out in his own thing, which doesn't really require an online presence. He also doesn't love social media, so that's, it's just different skills, different passions, which is fine. So we kind of tried to make that work together. Since my business was making money, he was just going to step on board. It didn't work out for us, so now we're trying something new. Just kind of see what happens. Okay, how much money you all were making when you realized this could be a family business?
I should have looked at this last night.
I don't know.
2022.
You can just give an estimate.
That was a big year. I think we pulled in $200K that year.
Yeah.
And then, we've had some growth years. We've reinvested that back in the business. But yeah, 22 when I quit, we netted $200K, roughly.
Yeah. So that's, after all expenses. So that's more than we were making combined when we were both working.
Yeah.
And now it's grown from there. We'll have to look at the exact numbers, but anyway, enough for us both to feel comfortable with us not going back to work.
Yeah.
What advice do you have about getting started in real estate investing? And I told Parker on this question, because he can talk about it all day. I said, we don't have a ton of time, so kind of give if for someone who has no idea about investing.
No idea about investing. Yeah. There's tons of material out there. I'm not far removed from you. I've always been interested in real estate. I've recently started listening to Bigger Pockets podcast. YouTube has a wealth of information on real estate investing. So go out there. The biggest thing for me is mindset. Just knowing that I can do it, and getting my head wrapped around that has been huge. Mindset is everything. I think that's what's propelled Lindsay's business is she had the mindset that she can do this. And, her first launch, I think, really, really seeded that belief and propelled her forward. It's hard in the beginning, for sure, to shift your mind. But you can do things you put your mind to.
Yeah. So check out Bigger Pockets is a great place to start. Do you have any other people that you can recommend or podcasts?
I've been watching a lot of Pace Morby stuff.
Pace Morby.
He's got a show on A&E about flipping houses. He does a lot of creative finance things. So check him out. And just network. Call real estate investing specialist agents. There's a lot of people in the real estate community that are willing to bring other people in. It's been refreshing to enter this community and feel the love from complete strangers on the internet. Everybody kind of wants to help everybody. From my experience, sure, there's bad people. There's people trying to take advantage as well. But if you kind of got a good judge on people and you can read people, you can sniff those people out pretty quick. And just work with the ones that are genuinely trying to help.
Yeah, we'll put those links in the show notes below. So Pace Morby, Bigger Pockets. There's lots out there. But as far as if you don't have a ton to invest, there's things that you can do. You can build business credit. That's what Parker's talking about with his coaches right now. So anyway, we may need to do a whole nother episode on real estate investing because it's a lot. And he talks my head off all the time. And I'm still a lot of this is over my head. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, a lot of it's over my head too. I'm just regurgitating.
Yeah, we're just learning.
So,
but it's exciting. It's exciting, and real estate I think is one of the smartest things to invest in. So definitely start learning about that.
Yeah, long-term wealth is real estate. It's built with real estate
because they're not making any more land. So, and then what other ideas do you have for additional streams of income for couples who don't have a great deal to invest? I personally recommend starting with digital products because you don't have to really invest that much to get started. And then as you, and by digital products, I mean courses, memberships, PDF, ebooks, there's lots of different types of digital products that you can create around whatever niche you want to create in. And then save some of your income build that up and invest in bigger things like real estate, like buying turnkey businesses. Parker is also looking into that. There's so many different options out there. Also, stock market investing is kind of like a passive thing. If you can, I would recommend finding someone like a financial advisor. We use Edward Jones to do that for you. And we just meet with them once a year. They tell us, yes, your money is doing fine. And then that's going to build us up for the future. Do you have any other ideas?
I mean, of course, there's the DoorDash and those type things.
Yeah.
But that's going to take you out of the house.
Right.
If you want to stay at home, some kind of digital online presence. There's a whole new economy online that as an accountant, I was shut off to, and seeing her business take off and her success has opened my eyes to that possibility. And I think a lot of people are still shut to it. A lot of people see
it as scam, or it's too good to be true.
It's either a scam, or they only use the internet for social media or for entertainment. And there's a whole universe of ways to make money on the internet and digitally.
I was also going to say, if you wanted to start out as more of like a service-based online business, you can do virtual assistant jobs. Because there are so many new online businesses, they all need people to help them with things. So learn some type of skill: social media, marketing, graphic design, copywriting, bookkeeping. Learn that, or maybe you already have skills that you can use and you just charge by the hour and build up clientele. That's a great way to get started in the online space, for sure. Okay, a couple more questions. You have 2 different businesses. How do you market them? So currently, yes, I do have 2 different ones. I am actually in the process of combining them, which I am going to talk about on the season finale of this podcast. So the very last episode before we take a break for summer, I'll be talking about how we're merging them, why I'm merging them. So stay tuned for that. But as far as right now, how I market them, my main tool is Facebook ads because it is passive. I don't have to be on social media every day. I have 2 different Facebook ad accounts for my 2 different businesses, and that's how I'm bringing in leads every day. So that's what I do for that. And then what made you switch from a course to a membership? We just wanted to test. We just wanted to test and see if it would work. We're actually maybe thinking about changing that back. Memberships, we have realized, are really hard. The reason we changed it is because of the price. We had a lot of people saying they couldn't afford a big one-time price. And so we just thought, well, maybe a lower ticket ongoing membership would help in ad coaching. But it's almost harder to sell a membership, even at a lower price, than a bigger ticket course, because people see it as, oh, I'm stuck in this membership, and what if I forget to cancel it? I didn't realize that, because if I sign up for a membership, like I'll put in my Asana, cancel this membership on this date, and I'll remember. But a lot of people, they're so busy. I get it. That's just, not something that they wanted to do. So we did switch, but we may be switching back. There was one other question I forgot that someone asked on Instagram, and that was about our UK trip. And we don't have much time, but it was basically saying, like, what would we recommend? If we could go back, I'll let you, because I just talked for a bunch. Yeah, what was like our favorite parts, favorite restaurants, favorite. We took a 2.5 week trip to the UK last summer.
Trip,
yeah,
and I suck at picking favorites. Of course, I loved St. Andrews.
Yeah, we went to Scotland. St. Andrews, Scotland.
The experience of a lifetime, especially for kind of a hacker. Cotswolds was awesome.
Yeah.
London was cool. London had a good vibe, but for us, I think personally, we kind of like a chiller vibe.
And we had our 3-year-old with us.
And 3-year-old in downtown London.
It was hard. It was not stroller friendly. Obviously, it's a big city.
But we enjoyed it. I'm glad we went to London. I want to go back and do more of Ireland. I want to do more of Scotland.
I think Scotland was our fave.
Scotland was our fave, and we spent 2 days there.
Yeah. We saw Edinburgh and we saw St. Andrews. So.
Yeah.
And then the Cotswolds.
But Ireland was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're scared of driving on the wrong side, for me, I picked it up pretty quick.
He did great. I just kept my eyes closed all the time.
It was like a brain exercise, like learning how to do something. It was like trying to do something with your opposite hand, like learning to throw a baseball with your offhand. And
That sounds like really hard.
He
did awesome.
It wasn't that hard. It wasn't as hard as that would be, but yeah, it was. I liked it. I actually liked driving over there. Once after the first day.
Yeah. It was lots of roundabouts, and that was scary. But yeah, Parker did awesome. Yeah, we loved. I mean, I can't say that we disliked any of the towns that we went to, but top of the list would be St. Andrews if you're a golf person. If not, Edinburgh was also amazing in Scotland. The Cotswolds in England, which is like the countryside, maybe an hour and a half from London. If you're gluten-free, they had everything gluten-free that you can imagine. The best gluten-free scones I have ever had. It was better than the regular scones.
Burton on the Water.
Parker said I didn't try the regular.
Yeah,
we stayed at Burton on the Water. It was a beautiful little town. We found a little cottage on Airbnb. That's another thing I will say. Yeah. Airbnbs are going to be your best bet. Yeah. We couldn't find one in London, so we stayed in a hotel in London and in Dublin. But most of the other places we stayed in Airbnbs, which is great if you're traveling with children or a family because we had a kitchen. We could spread out. So yeah. Maybe we need to do an episode on traveling or our UK trip because it was awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you for all of your questions. We hope we answered them adequately. Thank you, Parker, for being here and
Thanks
joining me.
Thanks for having my podcast debut.
Yeah.
Maybe this will be...
maybe he'll start a podcast about real estate investing.
Maybe.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys, and I will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.